Well, it took them long enough, but I'm finally excited about a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip device. The Z Flip 7 is expected to be announced next Wednesday at Galaxy Unpacked. I will be there in person to witness all the festivities, but I was a little worried by early rumors. Early rumors center around the fact that Samsung wasn't really changing that much. They were going to use the basic same design from the Galaxy Z Flip 6, that there may even be a price increase. We saw those overseas prices leak last week, that there might be a $100 or even $200 increase in price to the Galaxy Z Flip series. So everything was I was not feeling great about the early rumors, and that kind of tracks, right? It wasn't like anything was out of line for what Samsung usually gives us. The Galaxy S25 Ultra wasn't exactly the most bold design on the planet, and there weren't a lot of changes there. So you could see where Samsung might want to play it safe again with the Galaxy Z Flip 7. However, it seems like Samsung's learned a little bit more than I thought they did with the Galaxy Z Flip 7, because now the rumors, or the renders, the high-res renders that have leaked, have a pretty sleek-looking device. Nice, just a little thinner, got the wider, more expansive cover screen on it, and some interesting colors. And don't dismiss the importance of that. Don't downplay how important good colors are on these devices, because you need that style factor when you're talking about clamshells. It's not like the book style folds. Book style folds, you really need to focus on productivity for those, because nobody's picking those up that's looking at a regular slab phone. Okay, you're not going into your carrier store and looking at those devices, but these are meant to get by on their looks sometimes. So you really need to lose that utilitarian design that Samsung's going with. Now, this is personal preference. I don't happen to like it. I think it loses out to the Motorola Razr. But if Samsung were to get that correct, if these renders are true, and we get this kind of sleeker, nice looking device with the nice tapered cover screen and the wider cover screen and the color matched frame on it, and it's just a really sharp looking device, then you have something. Because the main advantage for the Motorola Razrs are that style and price. They're a nicer looking phone, they're more fun to use, and you get them at a little cheaper price. Now, we can have a situation where, I understand that Motorola gets away with pricing on the Ultra because it does offer the Plus. But let's just go top tier for a moment. We'll talk about the FE a little bit later on. But let's go to the top tier devices. The Motorola Razr Ultra versus the Galaxy Z Flip 7. You got $1,300 on the Ultra. Sure, aggressive sales and all the rest of it. But you got $1,300 on the Ultra versus, let's say, Samsung leaves the pricing the same, $1,100. And I don't care that it's going to be powered by an Exynos 2500, because I've said that before defending the Motorola devices against stuff like the Galaxy Z Flip 6. I did not care that technically on paper the Galaxy Z Flip 6 was more powerful than the Razr Plus from last year. Doesn't matter with clamshells. You're not sitting there editing 4K video on one of these things. You're not sitting there doing all these intensive gaming things on here, especially with the weird aspect ratio, especially with the way the screen feels on your fingers with these plastic covers on and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons why extra horsepower doesn't matter on a clamshell foldable. So while that protected Motorola last year, now I think it can actually work in Samsung's favor this year. Because you can have a situation where the Razr Ultra is sitting there with its Snapdragon 8 Elite and all the RAM in the world and everything like that. It's a perfectly smooth device at $1,300. But then you can have an Exynos 2500 powered Z Flip 7, 12 gigs of RAM perhaps, something like that, and you're looking at $1,100. Now it's more of a conversation. Now Samsung has entered the chat, because you're not going to have the default win that I feel like you were getting with the Razr. Because then what starts to happen? If Samsung's able to level the playing field when it comes to style and price and all the rest of it, what starts to happen? Well, the other things start to come into play. Like what? Like software, right? The things that are major advantages for Samsung are One UI 7, One UI 8, and 7 years of software support and updates. That's a huge win for Samsung, that it just would eat Motorola's lunch. And the other thing is the timeliness of the updates. If you're a Motorola owner, You know this firsthand. You're not exactly sitting around on the first of the month waiting for your update. That first Monday of the month, that update, it's not coming. You get those bi-monthly updates. If sometimes they slip and they're tri-monthly updates, and you're just kind of, maybe I'll get that new version of Android this year, maybe not, right? That's not an issue on Samsung. Now, we had to wait for One UI 7 a little bit longer than perhaps I would have liked, but for the most part, you're getting your updates in a timely fashion. And then you have all the extras that come with that. Now, there's a big thing that Samsung needs to fix. If Samsung has leveled the playing field, if we have a stylish Z Flip 7, if we have a gorgeous outer display, if we have fun colors and software support and performance and a price that makes sense, the only thing holding Samsung back from an absolute slam dunk to me on a clamshell foldable this year is good lock. Now, there are a lot of good lock defenders out there. There's a lot of people that are going to be jumping up and down on me and saying, oh man, good lock's a great piece of software and it really helps you. I agree. Good lock is excellent software. And if you take the time to get to use it, it's a powerful piece of software that really allows you to customize and give you some granular detail over the look of your phone. However, you have a significant amount of casuals who are buying clamshell foldables. You have a significant amount of people that don't even realize that you could get more apps working on the outer display because they've never heard of good lock. And people watching YouTube videos and watch 10 videos on these things are saying, how could people be just so ignorant? Not everybody does this. It's not everybody's hobby. Everybody's not an enthusiast. And if you are talking about the fold devices, you might have more of an argument. Why? Because enthusiasts are spending $2,000 on a phone, right? Enthusiasts are the ones buying those devices. But these devices are going to be in the hands of millions of people who will never heard of good lock and who don't know how to get extra apps on the outer display. And yes, have I had some mild incompatibility issues with the apps on the outer display of the Motorola Razr Ultra? Sure, sometimes. But let me tell you something. The benefits far outweigh any of the costs. You can have most of your apps running just fine. You could hold down the navigation bar and switch the orientation to move around the camera hump. That's the other thing Samsung did. It's preparing for this outer display by moving the cameras closer to the edge of the frame. There's a lot of things Samsung from a design point are doing right with the Z Flip 7, but the software experience has to match. Please open it up. Even if it's not now, even if it's with One UI 8, which supposedly these are launching with. If it's One UI 8, open up the outer cover display. Make it so that we could just add apps from the tiles and not have to worry about it. Because I'm tired of treating this outer display like I had to on the Galaxy Z Flip 6 like a widget, like a glorified smartwatch. That's all I'd use it for. Typing was okay, but with this weird kind of hump around the cameras, it wasn't great for scrolling. It wasn't the same experience. And then you add on top of the fact that I got to jump through hoops just to get all my apps on there. That's a problem for me. So far, so good for Samsung. There's a lot going right with the Galaxy Z Flip 7. And I hope that they could finish the deal, close it up, by making it so we could just add apps to the outer display. Now, there's going to be another interesting comparison coming up. You're going to have the Razr 2025, the base model Razr, at $700 with the Galaxy Z Flip 7 FE at around $800. It's going to have the older chassis. Less of a problem because if you're going up against the Motorola Razr, you got the smaller 3.6-inch display on the outer screen anyway. But it'll be interesting to see. And what else do you have coming up next week? You got Prime Day. So you're going to see a lot of aggressive sales on Motorola phones. We already saw it. I think I talked about it last week. You could have picked yourself up a 2025, the new version, Razr Plus, for $700. So it's about to get very interesting as far as clamshell foldables are concerned. I like it. Because to me, this is the winner. To me, this is the winning form factor of the foldables. Until someone can show me the tri-fold phone, which maybe gets teased next week at Galaxy Unpacked as well. I hope so. That'd be interesting. But it's going to be massive. It's going to be $2,600, $2,700. You really it's going to be a product for people who really need that to replace a tablet and a phone and a laptop on the go. That's who that kind of price tag is going to make sense for. But for just the everyday user, people walking into their carrier stores, not really knowing what they want to buy, this is what you're going to want to pick up, a clamshell foldable, because it's the closest to the regular experience you're used to. You don't have to change it. I don't have to change anything about the way I use a phone, because I can just unfold it, and I got a full-fledged smartphone right here. So Samsung seems to have gotten it. They seem to realize that it's not necessarily about power. It's not necessarily about all these other things that you see, this industrial design on here. It's about style. It's about price. It's about style. And it's going to be about software. So hopefully they can correct that good lock thing. But I'm excited because for the first time in probably 3 years, we're going to have a legit competition between the Motorola Razrs and the Galaxy Z Flip series devices. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have a delicious day.